This is a movie I watched when I was a kid. I remember it being way more violent, but definitely wasn't very violent. So it's about a kid who has a pretty bad mom. She lies to him about having like some job, and when he calls, he finds out that you're supposed to sign up for that job weeks ago, and she said she signed up today. So that would literally be impossible. So he gets dropped off with his two uncles that have come out of hiding out of like 40 years, I think is what they say. They don't say why they came out of hiding. He does try and ask them, but he says something about not reliving the glory days or whatever. They have these people come over because they know they're rich and they want them to buy their stuff, and they just shoot to scare them away. But eventually the kid is like, hey, you have all this money, why not spend it? And the first thing they get actually is useful, but they only use it in one scene. It's a thing that shoots beer bottles out of it and they shoot it. I don't know what it's called. I've seen those before though. Um, and the next two things they get are useless. So we don't see them buy anything else on screen. So I'm just gonna assume they stopped. But they buy like this whole thing of crops because they think it's gonna be like corn and radishes and all kinds of things, and then they realize it's just corn. So now they have a buttload of corn they have to eat. The second thing they buy is a lion, hence the name of the movie, and they were going to hunt it, but it's lazy and old and won't even come out of the box. Hijinks ensue, um, stuff happens here and there. Another family tries to drop their kids off, but they end up leaving once they see them shooting bottles. They're still trying to mooch off them after that scene in multiple scenes, though. Like, they go to the hospital and they go, where is he at? Um, Throughout the movie, they do talk about one of the old man's past because he used to have a girlfriend, but she passed away during childbirth. And he hasn't dated anybody since. Eventually, his mom finally comes back, but she's with a abusive boyfriend, and he attacks him, tries to get the money. He owes people debt apparently. Then he gets attacked by the lion, and the lion dies from a heart attack because it was too old and too much excitement, is what they say. And eventually, the time's up. He's going to go home with his mom, and he plans to do it because he thought that she was going to drop off the guy in Las Vegas, but he finds out that she's not when he asks her where they're going. And he jumps out the car and tells her to at least do something good for him for once. And he goes to live with his uncles. And then he demands them to not die. He's like, you gotta at least watch me graduate high school, preferably college. There's also a bar fight in the movie that I remembered being way more violent as a kid, where the guy fights a bunch of, greasers or whatever and beats them all up. I remember him like stabbing them and shit and having to look away as a kid. But in the actual movie, he just tosses them around a bunch. He breaks one guy's arm, but it's mostly just tossing these grown men around. Don't know how he didn't have a heart attack again, because earlier in the movie he had a heart attack after he carried a bunch of I think it was like 80-pound bags. I don't know if it was directly caused of the heart attack, but I would assume so. They end up dying after they buy a plane and they crash it into a barn. It's a pretty good movie. It is a bit all over the place at times, it's hard to follow, but I think it's a really good movie.